It's one of the biggest mysteries in nature. Why do millions of monarch butterflies migrate to one specific location in the central Mexican mountains each year? These butterflies make this trip only once in their lives. How do they know where to go? The monarch isn't just fascinating, it's essential. Without pollinators, our agricultural ecosystems and food supplies would collapse. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service estimated a drop in population of the monarch of 90% in the last 20 years, which is why it's more important now than ever to protect this natural wonder. At EarthKind, we're calling 2021 the year of the monarch. Not only have we spent recent months holed up in our own little cocoons, we've been challenged to become as resilient as the monarch. And very few among us have been as resilient as teachers. That's why we've chosen teachers to be EarthKind's first Harmony Heroes based on your applications and nominations. One Harmony Hero will be chosen each month. And at the end of the year, a grand prize winner will be selected to win an all-expense-paid trip for themselves and 3 guests to the monarch winter habitat in Mexico, all sponsored by EarthKind. In our first episode, I will be speaking with Court Whelan, an entomologist and National Habitat Adventure Guide for our trip to see the monarch in its winter home in the central Mexican mountains.
Thanks, Carrie. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can you share with us why the tiny little insect monarch holds such a great place in your heart? You've even written a book about it.
I've been very fortunate over this career to have traveled the world, guide people on every continent, seeing just about every charismatic megafauna there is. I will be guiding down in Mexico, showing people this migration event, looking at the overwintering butterflies in the millions, and I'll be next to people, and we'll have just gotten back from a gorilla trekking trip to Rwanda, or they'll have just gotten back from safari in Botswana or Antarctica, or seeing the northern lights in the Arctic, and they'll turn to me, and we'll be looking at these butterflies resting and flying, and they'll say, "Court," often with a tear running down their cheeks, "Court, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. This right here is the most amazing thing I've ever seen."
Hearing all the amazing things about them, and there's so much in science that we don't know yet about the monarch. And one of my goals is to help create policy that's going to bring more education and more study of insects, because pretty much everything we have depends on insects and pollinators. If they left, we'd be gone in what is it, 3 weeks or 3 months, something like that?
If that. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because really everything is either eaten by or eats insects that's living in the world. Everything. That if you understand insects, you understand everything about the world. And the more you understand about the world, you understand how critical their role is.
Could you share with us, Court, what makes the migration of the monarch so special and amazing?
Well, one of the most miraculous things is that you have an insect that really doesn't even have a true brain. It's got a central ganglion of nerves that kind of shoot impulses throughout its body and synapses and whatnot. But this thing can navigate over 3,000 miles to a very, very small pinhead on a map, do so for months and months, flying all that time, arrive in Mexico. So the fact that they have this amazing ability to get down there is only eclipsed by the fact that they have this ability to navigate down there. They use a few different mechanisms, from what's known as a time-compensated sun compass. They use magnetism. They use chemoreception, like smell and sense from their ancestors. It's pretty miraculous. As the temperature warms, they take flight and they fly by, again, the millions, and it's the only time I've ever heard butterflies fly. You can hear butterflies fly down there. It sounds like rustling leaves. It's just this collective thing that you have this small, seemingly helpless insect make its way thousands of miles, figure out how to be safe through the winter, and return relatively unscathed and put on a heck of a spectacle for very eager nature tourists around the world.
Can you share with us ways that our teachers across the country can help?
What you can really be doing with your hands, with your brain, is planting milkweed. I think that's probably the easiest thing, but also the most important thing that we can be doing. There are a number of conservation concerns for the monarch butterfly. They have been proposed to be on the endangered species list, federally listed a couple times now, and it's difficult to justify an insect or any sort of animal that has hundreds of millions of individuals still living on 5 different continents over the world to be endangered. But the migration event, of course, is something that we're really worried about, and I think it is in danger of being maybe not here in the next couple of decades if we don't act soon. So the conservation concern, simply put, is that their food sources are disappearing in North America, and it's milkweed. It's this little plant that grows like a weed. It basically is a weed. Farmers that grow massive fields of corn and soybean and wheat, they will broadcast spray pesticides to preserve their agricultural crop at the expense of ridding their land of all the weeds. And it's great fun to help too, gardening for milkweed and seeing butterflies come in and lay eggs and having their chrysalis and pupae then emerge and fly away. It's a beautiful thing. It's a great way to teach young folks of all ages the role of science, the role of ecosystems, the role of nature in our collective lives.
What is your most amazing story that you've heard about eco-education?
I can't tell you how many great biologists I have heard from, whether I'm sitting and having dinner with them in the remote jungles of Madagascar or hearing a lecture from them at a university. And usually, the Jane Goodalls of the world, the Patricia Wrights of the world, saving lemurs in Madagascar, it's one moment when they saw a monkey on TV, or they saw this beautiful garden on a trip with their family, and it just clicked. And they'll recall back to that single moment that they had such joy, they had such appreciation. Once a minute, a child becomes inspired to be the next greatest leader on our world. And what better way to do it than to showcase them the fragility of nature, but also the resiliency of nature, and doing so in a really beautiful, fun way for an animal that I think very much deserves our recognition and attention.
My father, who became an entomologist, he did so because of a monarch.
I would believe that. They are inspiring. When you think about this dual major / PhD of ecotourism and entomology, you say, well, how many ecotours do you involve insects heavily? Monarch butterfly migration. So that's really what kicked it off, and it led to many years of guiding trips all around the world for gorillas in Uganda, to great apes in Borneo, to polar bears in the Arctic and beyond. So I feel like it was a great jumping off point to fall in love with something that was just mesmerizing.
Well, this will be my first national habitat adventure, and I'm so happy to be making this into a campaign where we will be inviting this year's Harmony Hero along with us, where you'll be guiding us.
I commend you so much for the vision, the execution of what this is all about. And for those in the audience, for those that are to be nominated, I really look forward to seeing a couple 100 million butterflies with you down in Mexico. It's going to be a life-changing time. I can tell you that. I can promise that.